Hi there everyone, Sarah here from SH Millinery with another, well this is a fairly quick tutorial. Now I often see people going, oh I've got the perfect hat block but I need it bigger. Has anyone got this type of hat block in a bigger size? So what I'm going to talk about is how to make a hat block bigger. Can't make them smaller, but you can make them bigger. Now this hat block I'm going to use here, I'm just standing on a flower pot because it doesn't have a stand. Now if I measure round, this is a standard 22-inch size, so it's 22 inches this hat block, okay, and I want to make it bigger. And what I'm going to use for that is buckram. Now you can do it in a variety of ways, but this is the best I think because you can reuse it again and again. So what I need is 3 pieces of buckram, millinery buckram, stiffened starched fabric to make it the size I want. Now each layer that you add on will add on about ½ an inch to the overall circumference. So I want this quite big, so I'm going to add 3 layers. Now first of all, before you do anything, put some cling film or saran wrap on. Now I started doing this and then I thought, oh, it'd make an ideal tutorial. So I've had to sort of go back to scratch and wet my buckram again. Anyway, what you need to do is stretch buckram, damp buckram over the block. Okay. So I'll do this layer and show you. In effect, what we're doing is we're blocking a buckram hat onto the hat block. Okay, so we get the buckram damp and stretchy. Put it over. And we're going to stretch this onto the block to make it bigger. Now, as I say, you could do this with felt. You could put a felt hood on and it would add probably ½ an inch to an inch all the way around. But then you can't reuse that because you want to use the felt hood for something else and it's a bit expensive using a felt hood. So I tend to do this with buckram. So anyway, put your however many layers you decide. Now this should come out to about 23½ inches, I'm hoping. Now obviously you get lots of creases and crinkles and whatever, so you've got to pull out as many as you can, get it as neat as you can around the edges, but don't worry too much because we're going to be ironing it flat. Try and show you what I'm doing. I'm just pulling out the crinkles and wrinkles all the way round. You'll never get rid of all the creases no matter what you do, so just try and minimize them as much as possible. Now because this has got a shape and I need to keep the shape, I've now got to force that shape in as well. And how I'm going to do that, the hands are all starched out, so if you've got better pins, sturdier. Okay, so we're going to do that. Okay, once you've got all your pins in, we're going to leave it to almost dry, but not quite dry totally. So we'll come back to it in a little while. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't cover this block all the way down to the bottom, it's because I never use this block in its entirety. And so I'm just covering the top half that I use. But if you were using the whole block, you needed the whole block to be bigger, you would need to stretch your buckram right down and over and pin at the bottom, obviously. So it's almost dry and I've taken out the pins. And now what I need is my iron. Now, if you don't want to wreck your iron, put a piece of greaseproof paper under. I don't suggest fabric because it tends to stick to the buckram, but it's up to you entirely. I've got lots of rubbish irons that I use. So what you need to do is press it into those grooves that you've made. Obviously, if you've got shapes on your block. Now, you might not be using a block that's got any shapes. You might just be using a crown block that you want to make bigger. So you would just iron all over the top of the block. But this way, you get a much better indentation if you iron into it. Okay. So you would iron the top of your block. Might put a bit of steam on. So all the way around into those grooves, get the iron really into there. And what you're going to need to do is iron the sides as well, because we don't want all those pleats. Now what I've done is I've just pulled it off the block so that I can cut off the excess. And I have to say, this is hard work because I've put 3 layers of buckram. So it's extremely hard to cut. Okay. Could have done with my really, really heavy duty scissors, but we'll get there in the end. Oh, it's like cutting through concrete. Right, so the excess is cut off and I will keep that. That will get used for something else, no worries at all. Put that back on the block again. And now I'm going to iron the sides flat. So I'm going to smooth all those pleats out. I'm going to carry on doing that. I'll be back in a second. So I've ironed it all flat on the sides. I've got to do some more to it, but I thought I'll just start showing you. Right, so there we have it. I've covered it. I'm going to see what size I've managed to get. I wanted over 23 inches, so I'm just going to measure it. Put measure around the right way so I can tell you in inches. Yep, and I've now got 23.5. So as I say, each layer of buckram will add about ½ an inch all the way around. Now the good thing about this is I haven't wrecked the block, so I can either put this on the block to build a bigger hat or take it off and make a smaller hat. So don't forget though, when you use it again, you will need to cover this with cling film. Otherwise your hat will stick to the increased size buckram. Okay, I hope that's helpful. You'll probably do a much neater job and most of you won't need to add 3 layers. So I'm going to carry on pressing and getting this beautifully smooth and flat, and then I'll show you a hat that I block on it. Thanks ever so much, folks. Bye.